So I've tried the new Elite Specialization Beta, and I've tried Galeshot, and just gonna give my impressions on the Elite spec. And I know this is a beta, things will change for the good or for the bad, so I'm not gonna go over the traits and utilities or anything into depth. You know, I love to go into details when it comes to the traits and utilities and such, and just my thoughts about it and how I saw Galeshot is in this beta and what it is as a spec. So starting off with, Galeshot is pure damage spec. It has no contribution to condis. It does not have any damaging conditions. It only has non-damaging conditions, if any. It has an immob on Cyclone Bow 4, a cripple on Cyclone Bow 3, and a chill on the utility. I'm not sure if there is anything else. I didn't notice. I didn't care that much about the other utilities. I was just interested in the whirlwind and the windshield, and other than that I didn't really check the others. So if you're planning into going condition or hybrid, don't bother on Galeshot. Galeshot is pure damage, and it does not have any kind of defensives. It doesn't have protection, no damage reduction, no sustain, no health increase, basically nothing. It has just damage. It is exploding with super speed and swiftness, so a lot of the things that you do on Galeshot will grant you super speed. If you use Whirlwind, you will gain super speed. If you use your heal, you gain super speed. If you use Hawkeye, you will gain super speed. So you have a lot of things that will gain you super speed on the spec itself. And movement speed is not something that it's missing. It's exploding with swiftness as well. You have a trait that every time you use movement ability, you will gain swiftness and 15 endurance. You have a trait that every time you use bluster, you're gonna get swiftness. You will get swiftness every time you well, yeah, I already said that every time that you use bluster, you gain swiftness. Overall, Ranger just explodes with swiftness because you have marksmanship, which can give you swiftness with the Clarion Bond. You have skirmishing, which will give you swiftness with a passive that when you swap weapon you gain swiftness. You can have it with Warhorn. You can have it with Beast Mastery when you use command skills, resounding. I don't remember the trait name. Resounding something. Whenever you use a command skill, you gain swiftness and regen. So you have a lot of ways to gain swiftness on Ranger. So Galeshot is exploding anyway with movement speed and super speed and swiftness, and it has benefits for having swiftness as well. Swiftness has its effectiveness increased by 20%, and when you have swiftness, you do 10% more damage. That is a passive on the trait line. And when you use one of the new utility types that comes with Galeshot, you have a trait that will, when you use them, you remove movement impairing effects such as chill, immob and cripple, but it comes on the same column with the trait that gives you swiftness when you use movement abilities and endurance. So you need to pick and choose your own poison, you know. And like I said, because it does not have anything to defend itself, your only defense is super speed and evades. Right? That's your only defense. Now, because you're Ranger, in your core you can take Spear or Smoke Scale or Jaguar and use Stealth as your second defense mechanism, right? Which is your best option to actually be defensive, let's call it that way, because the enemy can't kill something that it can't see, right? So you have that going for you. You can go Wilderness Survival if you want for more protection uptime, damage reduction, endurance regeneration, condy removal, and so on, because the spec does not offer you any of that. It only has condy removal on the hill. It removes 2 condis and gives you 3 seconds of movement of super speed. That's it, you don't have any more condy removals at all in the spec. So Wilderness Survival is an option if you go for that, although you are compensating for damage. Yes, you can trade for the 10% more damage while above 15%, 5% more damage when you're below 50%, and so on, but compared to, for example, Marksmanship Trade Line, which is based around damage, you're not only just doing damage, you can also keep vulnerability more up. You can have cripple more up. You have more fury uptime, because when you swap pet, you gain fury, you gain might, you gain even swiftness, which is still benefiting you, and so on. You will always crit if you go for remorseless. You have 10% damage increase below 600 range, 15% increase above 600 range, and so on. So those are the 2 trait lines that are dominating on Ranger overall, and you can notice them even on Galeshot. If you go Wilderness Survival, you will notice you're lacking damage, because the Cyclone Bow is not heavy on damage. It is doing good damage, but it's not heavy on damage compared to the normal weapon skills, which can do much higher numbers. But if you go Marksmanship, it's starting to be noticeable damage, but still not as bursty as the weapon skills. And something that I noticed about the Cyclone Bow, I don't really like the Windfall stacks going away when you swap out of bow, because you gain them while you're in the bow and they stay in there forever as long as you're still inside the bow, and I don't like them going away when you leave the bow, right? It's pretty punishing that if you want to gain Hawkeye, which is, you know, your traits, some of your traits are based around it. If you want to gain Hawkeye, you need to waste all of your weapon skills, the bow weapon skills. And if you, for example, use one of the major weapon skills, such as 4 or 5, and then you swap out of the bow because you need to use a leap or anything like that, or a bursty skill, and then you swap back to the bow, you don't have the stacks anymore, and you want to gain Hawkeye, it doesn't matter even if you waste all of your bow skills. While one is on cooldown, you still won't be able to gain Hawkeye, so you're forced to stay on your bow for at least like 5 seconds until you can use a skill to gain Hawkeye, which is very punishing in my opinion. A solution to that can be that when you leave your bow, the Windfall stacks will stay on you for 3 or maximum top of the top 5 seconds, so we'll have a chance to come back into the bow once you leave it to continue your progress towards Hawkeye. And that's a bit punishing in my opinion, that you can't do that, and it's just you're forced to use all of your 5 skills or camp the bow a lot longer to gain that, because the bow has a cooldown of like 0.2 or 0.3 seconds, so there is no reason to camp it because you can access it very frequently. Yes, the ammunition of the arrows might stop you, but you have access to it very, very easily and very fast, so there is no reason to camp it, actually. So I really wonder what was the idea behind the stacks being removed when you leave the bow. But anyway, those are the impressions and quick thoughts about what I experienced with Galeshot in this beta. I didn't capture a lot of footage because it is a beta after all, and stuff will change on release, so I didn't dig into it because, you know, if stuff will change, the stuff that I tested won't be relevant. So anyway, those are my thoughts. That's what I think in my eyes how Galeshot is and what is Galeshot. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did. I see it as a refreshing playstyle, and hope you will enjoy it on release as well.